Welcome to the show, guys. I'm Tony Hansen, joined by the rest of the Audio Dungeon crew. And today we're doing a nerd review on Obi-Wan, which was just released on May 27, 2022. Episodes 1 and 2 released at the same time. And we're going to go through right now. Let's start off with Damien. Damien is a huge Star Wars fan. I'm excited to see what he thinks. And let's take it there. Be brief. Give me like your how you liked it and why you didn't like it and why.
All right. This was hugely anticipated and I enjoyed it very much and I can't wait for the next episode.
Awesome. Let's go to Dan.
I really liked the first 2 episodes, went in a completely different direction than I was expecting them to. So I was very, very much surprised, but I loved them.
Todd.
It was also highly anticipated for me. And while there were things I didn't really like going through, overall, I really did like it, especially the end of the second episode. Really hooked me for the rest of the season.
Gotcha. Me personally, I was excited. It definitely took a turn. I loved it. And I got all the vibes. I thought I was going to get more of a show vibe, like Boba Fett, which are all good. Boba Fett, Mandalorian are amazing. I thought it was going to get more of like, okay, we're just setting some stuff up. I didn't feel that way. I felt like we were just following the movies, so that kind of got me excited. So let's go over the good things. So if you have good nitpicks and bad nitpicks, let's start with the good. Let's just shout it out, guys. What do you think were the reasons why you enjoyed it?
Ewan McGregor, so good as Obi-Wan.
It's awesome to be in the back. Yeah.
I don't know if it's just that he's 18, 17 years older. But like he's playing, I think, like an appropriately aged Obi-Wan very, very well. Like you could tell he's not the same character that he was in Revenge of the Sith. He's not the same Obi-Wan who was in A New Hope. He's doing very, very well. I'm really enjoying him too.
Yeah, so I believe, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, Damien, but I believe so. We're 10 years after the events of the previous movie, and there's still another like 7 or 9,
7, 8, something like that.
Something like that, yeah. Years to go and to get there. So there is a difference people are talking about is the fact that he does not look the same age as Obi-Wan. Somehow he's got to get there through episode 4. And there's actually some fan theories going on. People are talking about the fact that it's possible if he gets negatively affected by the Force, it could age him, and that's kind of an insult to Alec Guinness, right? So, someone will use the Force on you and it turns you into what you see before you, Alec Guinness. So,
yeah, there's a little age discrepancy there. I think it's just the way it worked out, story wise. But who knows? We might see, there might be a reason, for the way he looks, and maybe they'll decide to go that way, maybe not.
Yeah. I loved Dayu. I love the feudal Japan feel with some of the bad guy characters with that one guy. I like the story. I like where the story went. I think what Dan was talking about was the fact that he went after, spoilers alert if you didn't not watch, spoilers in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. When they went after Leia.
Yes.
And I was like, this is pleasantly surprising because all you think of is like Darth Vader. He's hiding, he's protecting, coming after possibly Luke or whatever, the Inquisitors. And I liked that they went off a whole other thing that ties into the story, but also it was refreshing to go somewhere we weren't even ready for.
It was great. If I might just say, one of my favorite lines from the first episode is when the Inquisitor she's talking to the bounty hunter character, and she's like, "Oh, he fought with her father in the war." She says that to the bounty hunter when she's like hiring him, and kind of telling him what's going on. And she has this line that perfectly describes Anakin, even though she's really talking about Bail Organa. So she's a little off, really, in her. I mean, she's somewhat right in her information. She linked those two people. That's kind of how she tried to trap him. And but it's great because the dialogue really perfectly describes Anakin, but she has no idea. But the audience kind of does. At least I did. Yeah, I was like, oh man, that's such a great double meaning line. And then in the second episode, she mentions Organa, and you're like, oh, obviously that's right. Who she meant, from her perspective, But just a cool line, I thought. Great line of dialogue.
It was great to see him again, right?
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
Jimmy
Lorcana?
Smith,
Oh, yeah.
fantastic job.
Yeah.
One of my favorite scenes was watching him father the crap out of Baby Leia there. But we had Baby Yoda, so I used to say Baby Leia. But to see the scene on the balcony, like, and him giving that good lesson and that good speech, I was like, hell yeah.
And I believe him. Like it felt really good. I think he's just, he just did a great job. He's so believable, and like he is the role that you think he's playing. It's funny because when he's in the movie before in the prequels, he was a little bit distracting to me because he's famous beforehand, and so like there he is, Jimmy Smith, there he is, and then he's like his famous line for me is like he's like they're like it's time for you to go, sir, and he's like
So it is. Yeah.
and then he goes. So it's nice to like see him like really get more screen time, and he deserved it because he just did wonderful with it.
Yeah.
I also love the bounty hunter you were talking about, Scro. I'm a huge Red Hot Chili Peppers fan, and I saw it was Flea, the bassist.
Yes.
And every time I'm so excited just for like we know he's an amazing bassist. He's not the best actor, but every time he did something, I was like, oh my god, he's kidnapping little Leia. Like, oh, that's all. Oh, he got kneed by Obi-Wan. Oh, this guy's living out all of my dreams. It was awesome.
Yeah.
Every little thing. He got the first kill in the series. I was pretty excited about.
My wife, I just didn't know what I was talking about. I was like, it's Flea. She's like, wait, what?
My wife pointed it out to me. She goes, "Is that Flea?" And I kept looking at it. I was like, I don't know. Is that Needles from Back to the Future 2? I can't tell. And it was like, yeah, we seen the credits. Flea. That was cool.
Yeah.
It was good.
It's funny to see him pop up, and you're right. He's not the best actor. There's a couple of lines. He's okay, but like he's kind of weak with certain things. But like it doesn't matter. It's like it's awesome that he's in it, and you don't care because he's such a good bass player. Like he's a great bass player. Go ahead, be in Star Wars.
And he's not a bad actor, so he's
he's not.
Yeah, I liked his delivery to Obi-Wan, where he's like, "You're just a man bleeding all over my floor." And I was
that
like,
was good.
That was a good line. Reva is like, I don't like her delivery leaves a little to be desired, and I thought that parkour scene was just so unnecessary, just because she does all the flipping, and then they're all on the ground, and then they're looking at the other Inquisitors first, right? So all that parkour she did to get the location first meant nothing, and then there's a full minute and a half where like, well, where is she? She just did all that running and flipping. Like, shouldn't she be here before Haja? And just there was just time that was left out that they didn't even need to show the scene, and I wouldn't have questioned it at all. Like if she was running and flipping 10 seconds before, it would have made sense, but like they left like 2 minutes, and I was just very confused. It's like you didn't need to put that in. Otherwise, I wouldn't be questioning the timeline of where she came in the first place, Yeah,
the timeline, it was a little. It seemed a little like it was kind of moved off. Like it was off by like a minute, like you said. But like the reason I thought it was there because like they were kind of giving you the exposition at like roughly the same time that the Inquisitors were ex-Jedi who turned on their own to like to turn in Jedi. So like I thought like okay, like they're kind of building on that or like making a scene that kind of plays off that line of dialogue where you could see like okay, she's got some physical abilities here. Like she's not just some kind of like regal figure wearing a costume. Like she's capable,
Yeah, I'm also wondering if she was one of the younglings in the first scene that we see.
She's the first character we see.
Because I'm wondering,
that first girl that you see in that scene, I think that's her, like the one that you're talking about there.
One of the younglings that was standing up in the back had the braids coming down here. Because then if that was 10 years later, how old is she now? Like, I guess like 21, 22, and I guess that kind of fits.
I think she could be that first character you see. That you see the young Jedi. They're doing a little
training
like
the younglings
thing. Yeah, and their master, like or whoever was training them, gets them out of that room and kind of fights off as many like troopers as she can, and eventually goes down. And you see them, and like they look like it looks like it's possible that they get out. Those kids. That
she's one of the younglings, or she was the Jedi that fought.
One of the younglings. Right. It looks like she could be one of those kids. So,
I was gonna say it looked like she got shot up a bunch, but people have survived worse than
so far. The master definitely got shot up.
It makes sense that she's one of the younglings because that's kind of what they're pushing in the story. So that they showed you that at the beginning, and then they say after upon explanation, like, oh yeah, a lot of the Inquisitors are Jedi who had ability, who they took them and they turned them into whatever.
Right.
So it's possible. They do talk about the fact that she was like comes from nothing. And so they found her in the gutter. So that would kind of mean that would talk against the fact of her being one of those, because
maybe not. Maybe.
Yeah, where does she have to go after that?
Because maybe again she was just in hiding, and they they found her or whatever. I don't know,
Yeah, and if you use Anakin as the blueprint there, he was on Tatooine. They took him to Coruscant. If that were to happen to someone like him, he he has no family on this planet. His master is gone. His temple is gone. He's got nowhere to go. It's very, very likely that he could end up in the gutter.
I also did appreciate her training.
Yeah.
Like I may have ragged on her delivery, but she did show like signs of like what young Anakin kind of did, wanting to get things done by any means necessary, but she doesn't have like the constraints of the Jedi code. So she's acting over the top. She's using violence more than any of the other ones might be. And it does show either signs of being like Anakin or just having teaching from him himself, which either way kind of translates down, I think, pretty well.
Yeah, I think we may see that, like that whole theme of like coming from like, one particular, like a lower type of lifestyle and a higher type of lifestyle, because we're seeing where Luke is. We've seen plenty of Tatooine. We know Luke's story, but now like we're getting a good look at Alderaan now. Like we're seeing what Leia's upbringing was like, and it's very, very different from Luke's.
Oh my God, it's so different.
Oh,
yeah.
In the first episode, I was like, oh, another episode of Sand or another season of Sand, but I'm glad immediately.
That's what was good about it. I think they were like, we need to like break up the Sand, and they have done that in a couple of spots, but like it was nice to get away from it. And you could see they were taking a little bit extra time, looking at Alderaan, because they're never going to see it again. So it's like they were spending a little more time to kind of like write it into the history. Like, okay, this is what it looks like. This is what we have here. So, but all I kept thinking is like, all these people die. All these people die.
Oh man, and it's such a beautiful planet too. It's like,
it is
just gone.
Yeah. What did you guys? Let's talk about Kamala and Johnny. How'd you like him?
He was good. I had no idea that he was in it, so it was a total surprise for me.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, like I know he normally has that air of not really taking it kind of seriously and having that really kind of sarcastic manner, and he played that exact character in Obi-Wan itself. So like that, if he played anything different, I was like, oh god, they're gonna make him a Jedi. But when it turned out to be what it was, I was like, okay, yeah, I actually kind of have a heart for this character.
Yes, I was upset that he's a Jedi, and then I was like, oh, okay, that makes more sense. What do you think, Dan?
I do like him, and I did like him in this, but I thought like the sarcasm was like a little much. I think if he was like, I was totally expecting him to be a villain when you found out that he was kind of like scamming people. So like when you found out that the mother and daughter that he helped actually did get off planet and he did help them, and he was there to back up Obi-Wan and give him a tip. I liked that because I thought it was like falling into the trope of like, oh, okay, this guy's a scam artist and he's going to try to trip up Obi-Wan. But I thought that was cool that he's kind of like a scam artist with a heart of gold who's trying to, who actually is trying to help people but make some money on the side. I thought that was kind of cool.
Right. He's using a gimmick. It's really like, if you think about it, his gimmick is like his poster boards. Like, I'm a Jedi, come to me, I'll help you. But he really is helping them, and he makes some money in the transaction.
Yeah, his heart's in the right place.
Yeah.
Right.
I was nervous because he was like, he mentioned to the woman's son, he's like, someone with your son's abilities, they're going to be looking for him. And I'm surprised Obi-Wan didn't really ask about that or anything, or if he was just like, oh, your son looks really strong with the Force, I would know because I'm a Jedi. Or like, I didn't know too much, but I'm glad. I was worried about them for a second. Like if he was just going to be a real scoundrel and just send them off to be captured, like send them right into the arms of the Empire. But I'm glad that they did get away. But I do wonder about him. Like if he actually had any sort of showing, as Owen put it.
Yeah, it's weird. I was thrown off by him in there. I mean, it was fun to have him there, but I liked his character. It was interesting. I really liked the alleyway scene. When he's like everything he was saying, just like the typical trope of like what he was doing. I forgot what it was. It's like
I like credits. I need them. Like it was like
when he was talking to her, trying to stop her and slow her down. He's like, yeah, what's the price of me? $1 million?
1 million, 2.
Oh yeah.
You will never get it.
It was good. She was just like, she couldn't even kill him. She was just like, what is happening right now?
It's like, all right, you're clearly an idiot. I'm just gonna forcefully move you out of the way.
Gave it a shot.
forcefully. So yeah, but I felt like he was distracting. I liked it. It was a little distracting, and it's just where it was. But it was interesting. So something I didn't know, which is great to talk about, and maybe I did know but never thought about it, is the fact that Obi-Wan doesn't know that Vader is alive, that Vader is Anakin Skywalker. I thought that he knew that, because you could easily you usually could have started off the series saying that, like, yes, he remembers when he saw the footage of him being turned by Palpatine, and then he became Vader or whatever. But that way he didn't know, and then Vader didn't know that Obi-Wan was alive. As we find out, you assume in the end, when Vader opens his eyes, he sees Obi-Wan, or if he feels a connection to Obi-Wan.
And he was reaching out.
Well,
yes, it ends with both of them knowing the other's alive.
Didn't she say that Vader was searching for Obi-Wan, though? He knows. Vader knows.
Yeah, like, I feel like it depends on if those holograms have audio on them that he was watching. If he would have heard him say "Lord Vader" right before that.
I think Vader.
Well, as far as Obi-Wan knowing, I think, well, from what I have heard is that like he was supposed to find out sooner, as far as finding out that Anakin was still alive.
Yeah, I also thought that was the main thing, that it was him finding out that Anakin was still alive, not the reveal of what his name had changed to when he went to the Sith.
No, that's not, I'm not saying but the change the name. Just the fact that he doesn't know that Anakin is Vader.
Well, and the other interesting thing about that brings up is, like, has Obi-Wan himself been so cut off from society that he's not, like, keeping up with Imperial news, and he hasn't heard about someone called Darth Vader doing whatever Darth Vader's been doing for the last 10 years. Now, that seems possible, but a little hard to believe. But I don't know. It's hard to say. It seems like he would have known before now, but I don't know.
It seems to me that Charles is saying here, Vader knows Obi is alive, but doesn't know, but Obi doesn't know Vader's alive. It seems like that. My thought is that he's not sure that he's alive. That's what I think. I think that Vader is not sure that Obi-Wan is still alive after all these years, and doesn't know what happened to Order 66. Because
that's possible. Yeah, I mean, he could think that, maybe he got taken out somewhere along the line by, clone troopers or whatever, or another visitor or something like that. Yeah.
Because Obi-Wan is goes into hiding after going down under the water. They think he's dead. So I believe personally that Vader thinks that Obi-Wan could be alive, but also might be dead and doesn't know. I think he's up in the air and thinks he could be either one. And I think that from what we learned is that Obi-Wan doesn't know that Anakin is Vader. And therefore, that's why they showed you that both were shocked, because he just found out, and then Vader was shocked. There he is. So I think that literally you could just say that they both didn't know the other was alive, in a sense. So they both didn't know the other one was, in play.
Yeah. Maybe. I don't know. I agree with you. I think it's plausible that Obi-Wan just doesn't know that Anakin is still alive, just because, like you said, like, he's in hiding. He doesn't know what's happening with the Empire. I think Vader has to know that Obi-Wan's alive, because, like, Order 66 took place before they fought on Mustafar. So, like, when they fight on Mustafar, Obi-Wan messes him up, leaves him for dead. Then, like, obviously, he walks away and kind of,
with all his limbs.
Obi-Wan with all his limbs.
So, like, I think at that point, Obi-Wan, okay, Anakin's dead. But obviously, Anakin knows that Obi-Wan's alive because he's walking away. And if at any point, I think, like, a clone trooper or anyone would have hunted down Obi-Wan and killed him, like, I think Vader would have demanded to know right away. Like, I think that's one of the things at the top of his docket. Anything happens to Obi-Wan, you get Obi-Wan's head, you bring it to me, you let me know.
I think there's a line of dialogue in there about how Vader has been actively searching.
Yeah, for 10 years he's been looking for it.
That there's, like, a line in there about that. And as Charles is bringing up in the comments, like, Tatooine is, we know, all the way out on the outer rim. They are, like, kind of isolated and stuff. So if Obi-Wan kept to himself and kept his eyes on Luke and just,
completely cut himself off from the
working
Force,
on and hiding, that's another whole topic that we could have like a whole show about, because me and Vinny Pro started talking about that. And I think, just to say something really quick on it, I think it's different than when Luke cut himself off from the Force in The Last Jedi, I want to say. I think it's different from that, okay? Because that was very much more like an active switch. I feel like Obi-Wan just didn't use the Force in a lot of different ways in order to conceal himself. But I don't think that he like cut himself off in such the same way that Luke did. I think that he still was using it a little bit here and there. Especially, I mean, he uses it. We know he uses it before he saves Leia. Okay,
right.
So that's
and
not the moment.
Right.
Don't think that that's the moment that he like starts using it again, because it's not. He's using it throughout the episodes. If you just watch closely, you can see.
That whole Breaking Bad scene where he shatters the beaker.
Yeah, and most obvious to me is right. That's a good one. And finding the lightsabers. Okay, now he could have known basically where he buried those, but like, there's no way that you can tell me that he didn't have a little tracking device in his hand or anything like that. No.
You didn't just accurately count out 300
along to the general area and was like, oh yeah, I could sense those 2 kyber crystals in there, no problem.
I think you say, I agree he's not cut off from the Force, and like Luke was, and I think that he's just out of practice. I think he has all his Jedi senses and things like that.
Lost his self-confidence.
Yeah, I think he lost his confidence, and he's out of training. It's like, riding a bike. He didn't do it in a long time. He just needs to kind of just get back on and start doing it again. And that's what it seems like. Definitely a feel of that I was getting, that they're trying to show me that he's struggling to pull it back up to the surface. So I guess you have to imagine that. So
sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, the last scene of Revenge of the Sith is Yoda telling him he has training for him, which is contacting Qui-Gon Jinn. Which when in Clone Wars, Yoda first started doing that, everybody just thought he was senile. But it turns out he can actually contact these really strong Jedi ghosts. So, yeah, I don't think Obi-Wan would cut himself off from it, because he is still actively, in every scene or episode we've seen so far, he's trying to contact Qui-Gon, and probably has been. If anything, just keeping himself kind of low on the radar to not get.
Right. Like Charles was saying in there, he's not using it in order to not be to not be found. He's not using it to stay concealed.
It could be something. It could be something more too, because I mean, they haven't. If you think about it, it's interesting that he's kind of like asking for his master and trying to talk to him. It seems like his master, Qui-Gon, hasn't talked to him in a long time, and he's kind of just like reaching out. Like, I think he might have felt like he lost the connection with the Force or something like that. I think there's a bigger story to play with him talking to Qui-Gon than just Qui-Gon not answering. I think there was not paying attention to that.
Yeah, he seems like a defeated guy, and it makes sense going through what he went through, and also he has to line up with Alec Guinness, like becoming that character more than the Obi-Wan we know from Clone Wars and Revenge of the Sith. And I do appreciate the way they're doing that as well with Leia, making like, now we have precedent for when Leia contacts him in the ship to be like, save me, Obi-Wan, you're my only hope. Now we have that precedent to kind of draw off of like, okay, that's now how they know each other, because otherwise they would just split off as babies. And how did that happen,
Right. So yeah, overall, I'm very excited to see where it's going to go. I'm not much of a second watcher, to watch something come out and watch it again, but like every part of me wants to just watch it a second time, only days later. So for me, it's a great sign. Let's do a vote. This is just for episode 1 and 2 out of Obi-Wan, the series on Disney Plus. Tell us what you voted out of 1 to 10, and quickly any kind of details you want to say. Dan, go first.
So far, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. I really like what I've seen so far. By the way, I don't think we ever talked about the recap at the beginning of episode 1.
Oh,
That was one of the best recaps I've ever seen, and like that's why I never skip intros. I never skip recaps, because like they're there for a purpose. They're there to set the vibe of the show and to get you into the mood of the show. And I thought they nailed it. I thought they did it perfectly. It set up everything exactly the way I thought it should have. Like I said, the story took a great turn, one that really sucked me in. And like I said, like I'll give something a higher grade. Like I'll get into the 8s when I start to find like mainly characters that I'm getting attached to and characters that are going to pull me in and make me either keep watching the rest of the series or rewatch the series. And that's definitely happening now. So I'll go 8 out of 10.
Damien.
It's going to be a 9 out of 10 for me, way up there. I just really enjoyed these first 2 episodes. It's awesome to see Ewan McGregor playing this character again, and I can't wait to see where they go next with it.
Todd?
It's gonna be lower for me. I'm gonna say like a 7.5. I enjoyed. There's still a lot of questions I have in between each series that we have, and now we're finally getting some of these answers. Most of the problems I have are the same kind of things with the prequels. We kind of get stymied with dialogue that we get, and we love Obi-Wan. We love a lot of things surrounding all this. So like he's succeeding despite the crummy dialogue that they tend to have, and that says a lot. But also like cinematographically, we'll change that word later. Like the chase scenes, I really didn't like. I understand you're not going to get Oscar performances out of a child, but like the little slide under the branch and the guy just runs full contact into it, and he's like, "Oh no, I can't get around this branch." Like,
oh my God, it's a branch! I can't possibly get him now.
Like that's filming and like editing, so they could have done that differently. But like I like how I've mentioned it already, we're bridging timelines and showing little things, and I'm super into that and jazzed about it. And like I would have given it just a 7, but I'm giving it the 7.5 just because of that end scene where you see how Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan, is totally just rocked by the news of hearing the word Anakin for the 3rd time in like a couple of days, and then realizing he's alive, and the first thing he does is reach out and speak to him, and then we see Darth Vader come through with that super loud droning, and then it exits with the fade out on the breathing. Love that. That got a full half point on its own from me. So like the little things like that, I hope you don't see carry over. And also I'm thinking if they only gave us the 1 episode like they planned, I feel like it would have been different. I'm super glad they gave us the first 2 to have like a round container to show us what the plot's going to be.
I think, I agree. I'll jump off that and say that I think it was very, I don't know if they did that on purpose because of like, something along the lines of like the release schedule was technically faulted, or they just said we need to give them episode 1 and 2 together. So I think it was much better that they did that, because we're stopping at them communicating each other was a perfect out point, and it just made a lot of sense. Michael Greenwell gives it 10 out of 10. Mr. R gives it a solid 8, and Charles Morrison 8.5. I'm going to give it a 9 for me, and I feel like it's tough for me to go 10 out of 10 on anything, because I think it depends on just how you're built, I guess. But I love the fact that they gave me Detective Obi-Wan, because I love Detective Obi-Wan. That was the best thing about Attack of the Clones. There's a lot of Attack of the Clones I could just get rid of, and say, okay, yeah, the Detective Obi-Wan, I'll keep that. And then, you're so beautiful, I love you. No, I love you. We can get rid of all that. So I love Detective Obi-Wan, and we got to have just that, and that was fantastic to watch. I think that was great. I think they were chiming into what was fun about Ewan McGregor, playing the character in the prequels. So I'm really excited where it goes. 9 for me. That's it, guys. There's also so much we could talk of. We could do easily a whole stream on Star Wars on just like the little pieces of one part of the episode. But that's where you're going today. This is just a glimpse of Obi-Wan. If you're thinking about watching it, I've heard some people saying they weren't so happy, and some people are excited like we are. So check it out and see what you think for yourself, and then leave a comment below and let us know how you liked it and what you think of, and what are you excited most for the rest of the season. And then we will do another review at the end of the entire series, and that'll be chiming perfectly for the next time that we're on, actually. So I'm excited to do that. Guys, for a Nerd Review, I'm Tony Hansen, joined by Dan, Damien, and Todd. And thank you for watching.
Now, before we go off, I forgot to mention something. Like the substitute teacher-looking Jedi that in the beginning that they originally go there for, like they know the Inquisitors are there looking for him, and they don't even know Obi-Wan's on the planet while this whole second plot hatches to lure him into a different planet with Leia. That guy almost screwed up royally getting Obi-Wan caught like that. And 2 is just so strange that he's literally around the corner or in that little stable area, and none of the Inquisitors know he's right there, and they're looking for that random guy. I don't know. I refer to him as like a substitute teacher Jedi, just because he has that look to him. I don't know why.
I guess because he's stopped using the Force, therefore that's the reasoning why he can't be found. He can't be sensed.
And that guy's openly doing it. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, because that's kind of seems what it is, right? Because Palpatine was so strong with the dark side of the Force, he was jamming everybody else, so they couldn't understand. And because Luke was cut off the Force, he couldn't be detected, right? Is that?
He cut himself off. Yeah, no,
Right, but I'm saying that's
For
also
that
why he couldn't be
purpose.
found by other Jedi or anybody else, right? Because they couldn't sense him. Is that a part of the?
Yeah.
I mean,
So-
with the substitute teacher Jedi, there's
People that
also
it's catching
like
on.
the I mean, there's also a little speech that the Grand Inquisitor gives too. It's like, yeah,
I just
Jedi
realized what you mean by
extension.
substitute.
So like, yeah, I got the impression that what he meant by that was like the Jedi can't help but use the Force and expose themselves because they're helping everyone. Which again, I thought like they were making that distinction to say like, oh, okay, like they're finding these other Jedi, but they haven't found Obi-Wan. So like Obi-Wan is being extra.
He has
extra
helped
careful,
himself
you know?
so
Right.
far.
He's being
Yeah.
very careful.
Yeah.
He does look like a substitute teacher. That's a good call.
Thank you. Yeah.
he looks like the teacher in Boy Meets World a little bit.
Oh my god. It was just all I could think of in the moment to be like, how do I refer, like the guy with marker on, you know, like, I don't know.
That's like in Spider-Man when Andrew Garfield goes to Tobey Maguire and he goes, "So, do you have your suit? Or are you going to be continuing to dress like a cool youth pastor?" I was like, "Oh wow, he does look like a cool youth pastor." That's great. Okay, guys, so that is it. Todd, thank you for joining us. If you want to stay on for a Roll and Rumble, and you're welcome to. And you definitely have to rejoin. I know you're going to rejoin for other ones, but make sure you rejoin for this one too, because it'd be fun to see what you think of once we get to the end of the series.
Yeah.
Welcome back to the Adventurers Shopping Network, where everything is definitely not cursed.